Hi, this is Cam Weiland, and you're listening to the 6th episode of the Wordplay Podcast. Earlier this week, I finally cleared my schedule enough to allow me, at long last, to start work on my next novel. Tentatively titled The Deepest Breath, it's set in the far-flung reaches of Kenya, London, and France, probably taking place, at least in part, during World War I. I've just barely started sketching it, my term for writing down the bare bones, figuring out plot holes, and asking lots of what-if questions. So it's still in a very formative stage. But I do know it will feature secret agents, vigilantes, a romantic triangle, and the overwhelming power of sacrificial love. This is one of my favorite parts of writing, because I'm free to throw any and every idea onto the page, without worrying about its validity, or the correctness or beauty of its phrasing. The horizons are still wide open, and where the story will take me is anybody's guess, including my own. Although starting this new project has definitely been the highlight of my week, I'm also having a blast with winning Wednesdays on my blog Wordplay. The prize drawing for the Behold the Dawn tote bag remains open until Tuesday, July 15th at 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. To enter, answer this week's multiple-choice question: what did noblemen do with their trenchers, the dried bread plates off which they ate, when they were finished with a meal? A. Ate them. B. Gave them to the poor or fed them to the dogs. C. Threw them away. D. Saved them for the next meal. You can submit your response using the form at the bottom of the left-hand column on my blog at wordplay.kmweiland.blogspot.com or email it directly to me at km.weiland@ymail.com. Listeners of this podcast can also get a head start on next week's contest, which features a great bumper sticker as the prize. The bumper sticker shows a mounted knight on horseback and says, "My other ride is a war horse." To enter, answer the question: in what year did Pope Innocent II ban the tourneys, the huge mock battles which were the predecessors of the slightly more civilized jousting tournaments? Be sure to check the blog every Wednesday for new winners and new prizes. Until then, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or complaints, please feel free to contact me on my website at kmweiland, that's weiland.com, or my blog at wordplay-kmweiland.blogspot.com. That said, please enjoy this week's recording. 5 ways to pace your story. Pacing is like a dam. It allows the writer to control just how fast or how slow his plot flows through the riverbed of his story. Understanding how to operate that dam is one of the most important tasks an author has to learn. Without this skill, we end up writing stories that variously lack momentum, feel uneven, become anticlimactic, and seem melodramatic. Following are 5 tips for taking this important plot skill beyond instinct to conscious action. 1. Length controls momentum. Short scenes and chapters, terse sentences, and snappy dialogue all contribute to a feeling of intensity and speed, just as long scenes and chapters, leisurely sentences, and extended dialogue ground the story with a sense of place and time. This is probably the easiest way to control your pacing, simply because it's so obvious. As your story nears the tense scenes, make it a point to condense everything. Limit the length of your scenes to 500 to 800 words. Cut your scenes short at important moments, and switch back and forth between POVs. 2. Vary pacing. As important as the high-tension race-em-chase-em scenes are, it's even more important to vary your pacing with slow, introspective scenes. Without the slow scenes, what Jessica Page Morrell calls sequels, you'll give neither your characters nor your readers a chance to catch their breaths. Even the most exciting of scenes loses its intensity if it's never balanced with moments of deliberate quiet. 3. Pay attention to details to build momentum. In film, directors often put scenes into slow motion to indicate that something tremendously dramatic is happening or about to happen. One of the best ways writers can mimic this technique is to slow their own writing way down by piling on the details. Let's say one of your characters is shot. This is a tremendously important moment in the story, and you want the readers to feel its impact. You can do this by taking your time and describing every detail: the look on the gunman's face as he fires, the recoil of the pistol, the flash of the barrel, the horror that chokes the victim, and finally the collision of the bullet. 4. Control your tell versus show ratio. Although showing your audience the details, the blow-by-blow account of your character's actions, is key to engaging them and making them feel the tension, sometimes the best way to hurtle them through a scene is to condense certain actions into telling. Perhaps you want to use that same scene in which your character is shot, but you don't want to linger on it. You want to do a quick flyby, shock your readers, and plunge them into the action after the gunshot. Instead of taking the time to show the details, you can thrust the gunshot upon the reader simply by telling him it happened. 5. Manipulate sentence structure. The mark of a professional writer is his ability to control the ebb and flow of his sentence structure. The most subtle way to influence your pacing is through your structuring of sentences. The length of words, clauses, sentences, and paragraphs all contribute to how the pacing is conveyed to the reader. Again, long equals slow, short equals fast. When it's time to write the intense scenes, cut back on the beautiful, long-winded passages, and give it to your reader straight. Short sentences and snappy nouns and verbs convey urgency, whereas long, measured sentences offer moments of introspection and build-up. Pacing varies from story to story. Some stories demand an almost continual breakneck speed. Others rarely emerge past a leisurely walk. But all stories depend upon pacing to accurately convey the writer's message. Thank you for listening to the Wordplay Podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, visit me on the web at wordplay-kmwyland, that's weiland.blogspot.com, and be sure to listen again next week.